was fast. Hi, AJ. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Sorry we're running a little late. Today, since I am not feeling well, Charles is going to help out again today. And we're doing paddles, crops, and canes. Oh my. So he has brought an entire store's worth of toys again, which is rather amazing. So I'm gonna let him take it. I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Megan, also known as MistressXmas, and we do these regularly on Saturdays around 2 p.m. Pacific time. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and let him take it since I am not feeling well. And here we go. All right, all yours.
Okay, let's start with paddles. Paddles are any usual, like paddle, like this. Thing you slap with. This one, if you notice, has fur on one side, leather on the other. So it is nice, and it gives you different sounds and sensations. You slap with the furry side, you get a nice sound, but no ouch. You slap with the ouchy side, and you get a little bit of a sting. The wider the object is, the thuddier it is. The narrower it is, the stingier it is. You get something like this, which is called a bat. It can be rather stingy. Some of these things are found objects. You don't have to go to BDSM stores, leather stores. Try sourcing everything you can in tack shops. This is part of the thing that you use for cleaning horses. It makes a nasty paddle. Another thing, yes, any questions?
Yeah, by the way, folks, feel free to ask questions. I'm sort of monitoring the chat, and we'll try to pass them on to Charles as we get them. Hi, Jana. How nice of you to be able to pop in. So go ahead.
This also I picked up at a tack shop. It was like $2. And it makes a lovely paddle. As you can see, it's curved, so it wraps around a person's bottom really well. And it's a great fun toy. Now, I'm known for doing mind fucks, and one of my favorite paddles in the world is this.
Thank you, Jana.
This is a meat cleaver, and as you can see, it is dull. But I don't tell the people it is dull. I let them look at the edge. It looks like a sharp, but it makes a lovely paddle. Boy, do you get people's attentions when you use this on somebody's bottom. Different things you can also use is this. This is a meat tenderizer. It also gets people's attentions, and without having to use a lot of force, it makes a lovely paddle. It's also cold, so it's great for sensation play, which is always fun. Another fun thing I use a lot, is this. This is the baseball bat. It's foam. You can pick them up in Walmart. They're about $4. They will freak the hell out of people. If you're playing at a club, you pull this out and start smacking somebody with it. Boy, will you get noticed. Okay, what else do we have here? This spatula. Everybody's got them. Lovely paddle. You can pick these up at the dollar store for $1. That's actually where I got that one. This is an evil toy. It's a paint stir stick. It can be extremely stingy. Also, with the little knot holes in it for stirring paint, if you run it on somebody's nipples, it can also be used for sensation play. This is my Happy Bunny. It's a rug beater I picked up at a thrift store. Again, it's one of those silly things that you can pull out and people will go, what the H? But it works really well.
Those for the new people that are just joining us, this is a little talk about paddles, canes, and crops for play in BDSM. And my name is MistressXmas, and Charles is giving the demo here today to help out since I am not feeling well. So thank you all for coming. Feel free to invite your followers, and please follow me if you're not already. We do these on a regular basis. So you go ahead.
Any questions?
Yeah, if you have questions, I'm passing them along. I'm a little delayed because I'm watching this on my laptop. So
Metal paddle works great. You can use the same thing with the paint stirrer. These are leather paddles. They're again fur or fleece on one side, leather on the other. Two entirely different sensations, two entirely different sounds. Fur makes a lot of noise but has very little impact because of all the air in it. Now, for something a little more serious, this is a wooden paddle. I make these. This will definitely take and wake somebody up, especially if you're using two hands.
So why, let's see here, why don't we describe like why paddles, crops, and canes, the differences, and like
paddles tend
the
to have
differences in feeling.
Paddles tend to have,
sensations.
especially ones like this, paddles tend to have a much thuddier sensation. Now when you use the leather side, it can sting. Depends on how hard you use it. You don't have to use any of this stuff, anything here, with any real force. You're using it to get somebody's attention, to keep their attention, and to make a point. The soft, furry side, when you smack them with it, it's got a nice sound, not a lot of impact. The other side's a little stingier. Think about somebody spanking you with a belt. The narrower, again, the narrower the object, the sharper and stingier the sensation.
Yeah, but they can all be used for nice, soft, and sensuous.
Yes, I mean you don't have to use them hard. The furry ones I've used, I don't have one with me, unfortunately. I have a riding crop like this, which is half fur, which is great fun for stroking somebody or caressing somebody or patting somebody in very soft and tender parts, because you can get their attention. You can go, "Ooh, yes, hello," and wake up. This, because it is wider than this one, for instance, would have a much thuddier sensation. It's relatively, if you tap somebody, you get a nice sound. Sounds like you're clapping, but there's no real impact. It doesn't sting. You get a little thud. If you're using two of them on somebody's bottom, you can drum them, and you'll get their tushy pink, and that's what you might be going for. Something like this. By the way, this started out life as a riding crop. Started out with one of these riding crops. I just took the end off of it. Actually, no, this started out as a buggy whip.
Some of these you've made yourself.
Yeah, some of these I've repurposed. This started out as one of these.
Where do you buy these things?
I get these things at tack stores. Go to a tack shop. Try to avoid going to an S&M store. I'll give you an example. Something like this at a tack store will be about $5 to $7. You go to an S&M store, $35 to $45. Go online if you don't have a tack store handy. I've seen them. Some of the crops as low as $3.95. This started out with a little end on it, and it makes a nasty toy. As a cane, is what I use this for, because canes can be very sharp. It can be very stingy. Another thing you can use for a cane is something like this. This is a piece of, I think it's 1/2-inch acrylic rod. You can get it in all sorts of pretty colors.
That would really hurt.
Yes, this would hurt if you smack somebody with any kind of real force or impact. I don't.
Traditionally, though, caning is like a bamboo kind of cane.
Right, or rattan. You can get these in thinner material. It's that now handy at the moment. But you just sort of tap somebody with it. And you're using it to get their attention, or you can use it for direction. This I'm going to show you. If you can see it. This is called the Jumbok. This is a real deal, serious toy. This is something I have used only a few times, even on people who are really heavily players. Yeah, well, you really can't get sound out of it. But these were used for riot control. These are serious. They will leave a these will leave a deep bruise. You have to be very careful with these. If you ever use them, you use them really lightly. So when you pull this out, and whoever you're playing with looks at it, the first thing they're going to go is, "Oh my God, no."
Well, unless you're trying to leave marks.
Yes, of course, unless you're trying to leave marks. Here's another one I've done. The same idea of cane. I've braided a tip on the end of it, so it looks like it's hot. And you just, it's stingy. You can also use it to direct the person if you've got somebody on a cross and you want their legs to spread. You just tap them on the insides of the thighs, caress the sides of their bodies, the sides of their flanks. Another thing you can do, and I would recommend if you're going to do it, to use, where did it go? One of these.
So where is it safe to use and not use?
These are safe to use buttocks, thighs, maybe your shoulders, lightly on the breasts. You can do some genital play. No wrapping. It's the same thing with like with a riding crop. Nothing on a neck, nothing on a joint. This one is all plastic and rubber. I've used one similar to this if you're playing with women, is you can slide this between her legs and up and down, back and forth, and it will send her to ecstasy. Or you can very gently tap her clitoris. Due to the fact that it is a rubber, you can wash it. Some of these are not. They're leather or leatherette. They don't clean real well.
Definitely nothing on the kidneys, John.
Yes. Nothing in any internal organs. Nothing in the stomach. You might use it to direct somebody. If you have a body, you can push them with it. But you don't slap them or hit them with it on a soft area.
In sensuous play, you can pretty much go anywhere. But if you're really going for pain, you have to be really careful where you are aiming.
I have a pile of these here. A lot of them are like this that I've made myself. This started out as a massage ball on a riding crop.
We use these items all the time, and they are very fun.
Yeah. This, you don't have to use any impact to. That's like with the meat mallet. Use very little impact. Just tap it, roll it, drag it. These are the spikes. You can drag it and get a sensation. You pull it out, you make people go, oh, and they stand up and take notice. Like this one. This is probably my favorite riding crop. This is what I call as my helping hand. And yes, these are spikes. These are steel spikes. I use this all the time. I don't use any or very little impact with it. I use it to drag it across the person's body. I tap them lightly with it. It gets their attention. You drag it on them, it's like dragging fingernails on somebody. It can be very sensual. You use it on somebody's nipples. It's amazing the kind of responses you can get. Drag it on the insides of the thighs. You don't have to use these to strike with. When you're any kind of plays, you don't have to use any kind of real heavy impact. This is another one I made that's fun. It's a rubber spike on a rubber crop. And the spikes under a black light will glow.
I want to see closer so people can actually see these things.
I can't tell how much they can and can't see.
I know, my view unfortunately is delayed by about 10 seconds, so.
Okay. Another one I have which is fun, is this. Green isn't my favorite color, but the tack shop I went to had these at half off. This is a riding crop. You can fold it up and put it in your pocket. It is completely silly. It's fun. I would be very careful how you use it because it probably isn't very durable compared to one of the regular crops. But it's just a silly toy. Getting into a more serious type of riding crop, one like this, you can see it.
See, now this is my personal preference. This is a simple, everyday, nice little flat paddle riding crop. I think this is one of the most versatile toys you can buy. They're really cheap. You can get them at a tack shop for under $10 usually, and really you can get an incredible variety of sensations out of such a simple little toy.
This one has a vinyl leather tip. It's great fun. They're cheap. There again. Oh, another thing with crops, you'll notice that the difference in the shaft thickness, that will determine how flexible it is. This is fairly flexible. This one is not. This one's got a lot of rebound to it. So when you come in, you don't have to actually hit somebody. You can stop about here and it will spring itself in, like this. Very gentle, very subtle. This is the same type of crop as, say, this one. I just braided over the cover, the braided cover on it, so it's much wider. I've done that with several of them, different patterns. I tend to repurpose some of these things. This one, I'll get to that one in a minute. This one right here is one of the sillier crops that somebody's ever given me. A friend has a ranch. And this is a double-ended crop, and I have never used it because it is just too skinny. You'll notice on a lot of mine, the handles have been rewrapped either with rubber, or these are, by the way, these are tennis racket rewrap kits. This is cord. My hands are fairly large. I've also had numerous hand surgeries. Trying to hang on to a riding crop with a handle this thin is hard. So what I do is I either braid a handle on them, or I wrap them with the tennis racket rewrap kits. Makes it a thicker handle, easier to hang on to. A little spongy, takes the recoil out. Makes it nice, especially if you're doing working with a lot of people, or a number of people anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and really, if you're beating somebody for a good 8 hours a day, you really just got to have a great handle.
Well, I mean, some of the things we've done some shows where they literally was 8 hours a day. This is a buggy whip. I've taken the standard nasty little string. This is where they normally come. These little wiry kind of strings. These things will cut you. They will sting. This is like using a single tail. You have to be extremely careful with these. They're extremely sharp. They're extremely stingy. And like I said, it will cut you. Now, if you change it over, this is parachute cord. This is 4 or 5 strands. It's much softer. I cord out, so it makes it really soft. And you can smack somebody for quite a while, for a long time, get a lot of impact, and you don't really injure them. Yes, question?
That's a good point, Chad, about the electric crop. I've actually done that before using the violet wand. Of course, with the violet wand and the attachments that you have, you can pretty much electrify almost anything, and it does make for a more interesting toy.
When I'm saying you can do your own modifications, this is one of mine. It's the gear shift handle off a car, stuck it on the crop. So I've got a skull crop. I had a full set of these. I don't know whatever happened to them. I've got so much stuff at home, it's unbelievable. Changing things around. This is a buggy whip. This is silver vinyl lace. It's multiple tails, kind of like a little flogger. This is really sharp. It's like using horsehair or wire on a person. If you use something like this, you change it over. It's really easy. Be very careful. Make sure you know who you're playing with. Take your time with it. Start off really light. This is a silly buggy whip. This was originally this long. Unfortunately, over the years, it's fallen apart. This was I think a tail from a coyote or a wolf. And this was my single tail. Well, sort of a single tail.
Soft and fuzzy is good.
I had an acquaintance who was a real heavy player, and I would pull this out, and they would laugh and laugh and laugh. They thought it was hilarious. They loved it. Some people are vegans. This is taking a piece of nylon web on a buggy whip and made a slapper with it. And this is quite stingy.
Oh, hate yourself some more. I want to see that.
No, eventually. It will definitely wake somebody up. It's a fun toy. Any questions, anybody?
They've been sort of going by, and I've been catching them as they come. So.
This one, the crop is split versus solid. This will give you a very light slap.
You know, if you're a dom, you have to try these darn things on yourself, because it's like you can't dish out something to a sub if you don't understand what it feels like yourself, and at what level, you know, a little tap is delivering. Like, is that a 10 or a 2 on the pain scale?
This is
so
it, yeah.
You have to learn and try these things yourself. And a dom that refuses to do that, I would question.
I'll take a flogger if I've got a new flogger and I use it on the back of my calf. Just to see what it feels like, to see what the leather is like. These I'll do the same thing with my hand, on the edge of my hand, so I can see what it sounds like. When you use a crop, you want to use this section of it, not this section of it. This turns into a cane. You hit somebody like this with a crop, which would be a really lightweight slap, no impact. You hit them like this, it changes it completely. You can go from a 3 to an 8 instantly and leave a bruise. There again, shaft thickness, stiffness of the shaft of the crop makes a big difference in the way it responds. This one's fairly slender. It flexes fairly well. This one is less slender.
Yes, this is serious. We are serious here.
Serious. Also, when you're starting out, if you can find a short, where did I put it, riding crop, one like this size, maybe this size, start with the shortest ones you can find. Don't get into these insane riding crops that I've got a few around here.
Well, your buggy whips.
Well, yeah, buggy whips. Here. I've got a buggy whip here, which is just absolutely nuts. This is actually a dressage whip. When it's stretched out, is somewhere.
It's like 10 feet long.
It's about 12 feet long. Yeah, it's about 12 feet long. It's.
You have to practice for many hours in order to learn how to become accurate using these things. When you're talking about anything over 3 or 4 feet.
Even 3 feet, you need to practice. I've used, not this one. I've used ones like this. I had a friend, like I said, who had horses, that I used to use them up in her corral. She'd have parties, and I would make like a ringmaster, and we'd have the little subs running around in circles, doing jumps and things, pony play. It was pony play, and it.
I didn't know you had a pony.
Yeah, I didn't have a pony. A friend of mine had ponies. I just went and worked them. I got to ride all her horses. She had real horses too, so.
I meant pony as in pony play sub.
No, I didn't have a pony play sub. I've used her pony play subs. She had pony. She like I said, she had a ranch, and whenever she had parties, she occasionally brought me in because I taught her how to top, and I would be the ringmaster sometimes. Buggy whips, really stingy. Crop stingy. Excuse me. Cane stingy. Crop's not so stingy.
Okay, so if you have to narrow this down to like one paddle to buy, one riding crop to own, and maybe one cane, what would be the choices?
If I had to go into a shop and buy one, I'd buy one like this. Make sure it fits your hand. That's important. This is a lovely paddle. It doesn't fit my hand. It doesn't. The edges are sharp. I just don't like the way it feels.
That looks ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, I know. This is another one of those. Somebody gave it to me.
Where's my paddle?
Your paddle is right here.
I actually just made my own paddle because I knew what I wanted up front.
I've made a few of those like that too.
This is really nice. It's a nice furry one side and then leather on the other, and it's really sort of nice and I just love the fur. So
this one has got fleece lining like on the inside of a jacket on one side, leather on the other. It fits my hand nice. I would get one of these, definitely.
All right, so that's your paddle. What would you pick for a riding crop?
I would use one like this.
Really?
I like the size. It's short. I would also use one similar to, say, this. Or the other one we have to redid the handles on.
See, I like the flexibility on the soft tips.
I would go with one like this, split.
That would be good.
It's much softer.
Yeah. And for a cane?
For a cane? Okay, where's the one I just finished the other night? I would go with this. This is a riding crop that I've spun up, braided over. This is actually the same thing.
Without the end.
I took the end off and without braiding it. This is one I just didn't braid. If I were going to do a cane, I would use this. I've taken these kind of crops and turned them into canes because they're cheap, they're easy. Canes. You're going to find canes on the market that are made out of fiberglass rods or carbon fiber rods. I do not recommend you use those. Both of them will shed fibers.
And they splinter.
They splinter. Splinters from carbon fiber are really bad. I do archery. You split an arrow, you pick it up by the nock, you throw it away. You do not try to save any parts off of it, like arrowhead points or inserts or anything. You get a splinter, it's bad. It's really bad. You get infected, they fester, and you probably have to go to the doctor and get it cut out. Fiberglass is just about as bad. They splinter really easily. They fur up. You smack somebody in the butt and you get fiberglass fibers in them. They're going to itch for a week. They're really a pain. I deal with fiberglass at work.
So I notice you don't have hardly any wooden paddles. Why?
I didn't bring everything. It may look like it. I've probably got twice as much at home. I make wooden paddles. When I'm carrying my gear bag around, this thing weighs about a pound. This thing weighs about 8 or 9 ounces, maybe a pound and a half. I can carry 3 of these for one of these. I have a 29-inch Pullman suitcase on wheels. That thing is full when I use it. I'm carrying 6 to 8 foot crops. Floggers, crops, everything. Wood is nice. It's heavy. I prefer leather. It's flexible. It's warm. With the fur on it, it can be used for more than just a wooden paddle. I've actually, if I want something different for a paddle, I've used these. These are racquetball rackets.
You could also use the little electric bug zappers as a paddle
as well. I use this as a paddle all the time. This is probably my favorite paddle.
It's probably cold.
It is. It's very cold. It's that's what I use it for.
Yes, all of this for spanking.
Yes.
Isn't it great?
I've taken this, I've ground the edge off the blade, I've polished it. You cannot cut yourself. And you can see, I use this if I want to freak people out. I'll take somebody and I'll start talking to them about doing a demo, and while doing a demo, and say, do not try this at home. And I'll put my hand on the back of their neck and I'll drag this across their throat. And they will freak. And when I pull the blade off their neck, they, more times than not, will
go home.
No, they, after they get done shaking, they're sort of like gasping for air, going, oh my God, I think I just orgasmed. Then I will take this and I will do this with it. This, so you can see it is dull. But it's a lovely paddle. It's as good as wood. It's solid.
Please, everybody remember that this is all about communication and trust. You just don't play with strangers, and hopefully everybody's expectations and desires are all known up front before you start, so that you don't run into trouble. I mean, nobody wants a scene where the outcome is not favorable for both parties. So just as a little warning, make sure you do lots of talking before you ever play. All this should be negotiated well before you ever start playing.
Also, this being metal, and Megan saying this would get cold, I use not a lot of knives. I will take this, I will stick it in an ice bucket, a bucket of ice water. I will let it get really, really cold, and then I'll put it on somebody's nice, warm tushy after I've been flogging them or paddling them.
They want to know what these are. This is a riding crop. Okay, you're talking about the long ones here with the little paddle at the end?
This is not as narrow as, say, this one is. By the way, this riding crop right here I just got from a tack shop. It was $6.95. One I saw yesterday at an S&M shop, very similar to this, was $35.
Yeah, you can save huge money just by going to a tack shop on a good hunk of these toys.
Yeah, I mean, tack shops, riding crops are dirt cheap. People lose them. They lose them a lot. Also, I've seen online you can buy riding crop clips. You can slide them on a belt or for a boot. They're designed for it. Slide them on a belt. And they'll snap a riding crop into it. This would be less stingy than, say, this one. And this one right here would be less stingy than that one. This will give you more of a thud. That's the reason I have several different types of riding crops. Each one's got a different kind of sensation to it.
And I thought you were just greedy.
No. They're different lengths. Shorter when you're starting out is much better than taller. It's easier to use. The longer something is, the harder it is to be accurate with it. That's the reason why I talk about using these things. They're really short. You can direct somebody. They're stiff. They're real stiff. They don't flex very well. So be careful when you use it. But you can push a person with it. You can control them. I'll put a person on a cross, and if I want them to spread their legs, I put it between their legs and I push their legs open without having to use my hand. Now, if you want to use your hands for spanking, that works too. I have damaged my hands. If you notice, my hand doesn't straighten out at work. I've had numerous hand surgeries. Spanking somebody open hand, for me, hurts probably more than it does them. So what I do is I go out and I get a set of weightlifter gloves or bicycle gloves or gloves that have the anti-vibration palms, and I put those on. And I use that to spank with. Deadens the blow to my hand. I don't feel it. They, on the other hand, do. As I tell people, I'm not going to feel a thing. I don't know why you're screaming. It hurts. Just kidding, folks. Also, wearing gloves, you can get different styles. You can get them all leather. I prefer the ones that are fabric. If you want to get all dommed up, they can look kind of cool.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to play without safe words, people. The safe words are the most important part of this whole thing.
Oh yeah, that's a given. You never play without a safe word. I always know what whoever I'm playing with safe word is. Sometimes they use strange safe words like thank you, which has caused confusion a few times.
Yeah, try to keep the safe words simple.
Red, yellow,
Yeah.
green.
Not long. And always have some hand signals, because if you have a person gagged, or if you're doing any kind of sensory deprivation, you need to be able to have a physical signal as well, to allow communication.
Also, if you go to a tack shop, you can get a myriad colors of riding crops. This one is a red fabric. It's almost like a cane. This one's black and red. This one's red. I have a friend who's also a dom, whose house burnt down and lost everything. And for whenever they have a birthday, Christmas, any kind of event, I'll get them a riding crop or something. And they like purple. Yes.
And another thing I would like to point out is that it's quite common when you're playing with somebody new to literally use a scale of 1 to 10 for pain levels and get feedback regularly. So this way you know really what a person's expectation is. If they want to play at like a level 7, you need to know what a level 7 is to them. So using the simple 1 through 10 for a scoring on the intensity is actually quite common, especially when you're new. Because you can't really read people as far as their pain levels go. While many people claim they can, reality is I've had people where you think they're doing one thing and it's completely the opposite. So always talk. Communication really is key.
Following up on that, you'll get people who will come in, at least I've dealt with them in the flogging for flowers thing I used to do, that say, I'm a real heavy player. You can hit me or strike me as hard as you want. I have no limits. Those are the people you really have to watch out for. Generally, they think they know what they're doing. They don't. Their idea of a 10 might be your idea of a 3, or vice versa. I've had Sam's, which is a smart-ass masochist, that short of using a 2x4, and I've known people who have made paddles out of 2x4s, nothing phases them. I mean, you could drive a truck over them and they would just smile and giggle. Everybody's different. Also, if you're playing with new people, their levels are probably going to change drastically within the first 6 months of playing. What would have been a 8 or a 9 at the beginning of their playing may end up being a 2 or a 3, or maybe a 4, 6 months, 8 months later. Some people only like having their back struck. Another one only like maybe have their bottom. I knew a person, you could literally use a cat's iron frying pan on their tushy. You couldn't touch their back with a feather before they would go red and lay there and sit there and cry. Everybody's tolerances are different. Everybody's tastes are different. You have to figure that out. That's part of the reason why I have a real wide variety of objects, or crops, bats, paddles. A lot of these were given to me. A lot of them were gotten for specific purposes. Like I said, this is one of my favorite ones. I don't have to use any impact at all with it. It works great. And it's great for running on people's bodies. It just sends shivers down their spines. Any other questions?
They've been going pretty well here, communicating between themselves, and I've been asking nearly everything.
Okay.
So let's recap here, I guess, and we'll close this down pretty quick here. So you want to summarize in any way?
Paddles vary from stingy to thuddy, carry a large area, can be made of leather, metal, wood, plastic, almost any material. Get one that fits your hand. Get one that isn't real long. That wooden paddle I have is really long. It's insanely long for a paddle. So, canes sharp, stingy. Where to go? Well, you don't have to use a lot of impact to get a lot of bounce for your ounce. A little bit works, goes a long way. You can repurpose a buggy whip or a dressage whip into a cane. Gets people's attentions really fast. You can modify a whip like this. Riding crops, the narrower the crop, the stingier it is. This is slutty. This would be stingier. This is in between. This, because it's split, folds easier, makes a lot of noise, and it's actually wonderful. Then you've got buggy whips, which can be very stingy.
They can cut you.
Yes, especially when you use this type of wire, like a nylon wire, on the end. I replace them with parachute cord, and I core the parachute cord. It will fray. The more you use it, you can replace it. If you don't want the fray, you can always, once you pull the cord out of it, just hit it with a cigarette lighter. It'll seal it over. It won't come apart, and it'll be a little stingy. Or you can take a piece of nylon webbing like this, and this is just stitched on, and it will do the same kind of thing, and it still will be sharp and stingy and get people's attentions real fast.
Okay, well, I guess this pretty much covers everything we wanted to cover. And thank you, everybody, for coming by. All of our scopes can be found here for 24 hours on Periscope and later on catch.me, katch.me/MistressXmas. And they can also be found on my YouTube channel. Pretty much if you just Google MistressXmas, you'll find pretty much everything about me and all the demos that we've done so far. Also, you can email me directly at FetLifeMistressXmas or Megan@MistressXmas.com. Let's see what else. I think that covers it. Coming up, Jay Weissman, author of SM 101, has agreed to come and do a scope with me, which will be great fun because he has some wonderful ideas about the whole BDSM community and how to play. So hopefully that will be happening in about 3 or 4 weeks.
People wonder how to carry these things around. Let me close this off with this. This is a blueprint case. They're expandable. You can make them as big or as long as you want. You can get about 6, 8 crops in them. They're great for storing your crops and carrying them to clubs, to events, to people's homes, anywhere. Or you can use a pool cue case if the object is short. Right now I happen to have canes in them. But
cute idea. So once again, thank you, everybody. If you're not following me, please make sure you follow me before you go. Invite your friends and family. Well, maybe not your family.
No, not the family.
So, thank you all, and goodbye.